2.12% of players went on to play D1 out of Minnesota high school hockey. 1.06% went on to play NCAA Division D3 hockey. 3.18 total NCAA hockey players. So the Minnesota high school hockey is extremely restricted, but it is still one of the most competitive in the United States. This is why. There's a huge reason behind it. Welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about Minnesota high school hockey once again. The reason being is you guys loved it. So we're going to dive a little deeper into Minnesota high school hockey, their Division I commits, what programs are the best ones, and why. Now, a few things to know about Minnesota high school hockey. To play here, you need to live in state. Minnesota is extremely strict about who they allow in their high school program. Recruitment is not allowed by coaches. If a coach is caught talking to a player, he is suspended. He is not allowed to go recruit players from outside of his area, his sector, whatever you want to call it, his zip code. For a player to play for a program, he must live in that zip code. Yes, they do check zip codes. Obviously, some families will buy a second home, pretend they live there, whatever it may be, but they do a deep dive into each player to make sure that they are somewhat within the boundaries. Now, you can extend those boundaries, like I said, buying a second home, a third home, a fourth home, sending bills there, whatever it may be, but that's still technically falling in the rules. You're just taking a financial hit, huge one. So the Minnesota high school hockey is extremely restricted, but it is still one of the most competitive in the United States. Minnesota is also the state with the biggest high school tournament. Yes, the biggest. They sell out the Minnesota Wild Arena every single game for the state tournament. These players grow up dreaming playing in the state tournament, not even Division I. Most of them will quit hockey after high school. They don't know what juniors is. They don't know you need to play juniors to get to college. They're just happy playing in the state tournament. The state tournament is watched by every high school, by the community, by parents. It is an incredible event to go to as a spectator and even more as a player. To be honest with you, it gives those college hockey vibes. From a former D1 player, being at those games watching it, there was bigger crowds there than I've seen in college, more enthusiastic student sections. Honestly, it was extremely wild and a great place to be. Kind of makes me want to grow up in Minnesota playing hockey and giving myself a chance to play for this state tournament because it's unbelievable. Like I mentioned in the last video, there is AA and A depending on the size of the school. AA is the bigger school, A is the smaller school. Unfortunately, that isn't based on talent or success. That's based on the size of the school. So some schools fall through the cracks because there should be an A school, but they're a AA because of the size of their school and not because of their talent. Let's jump into the top 10 Minnesota high school hockey schools in the last 5 years. And these rankings come from My Hockey Ranking. They use their own systems and numbers and equations to find out these rankings. They're not based on us. Now, at number 1, we have Maple Grove High School. Maple Grove is a very strong program. Absolutely agree with this one. I've watched them play a couple of times, and there's definitely some unbelievable D1 players, maybe some future NHLers. Number 2, Minnetonka, which you guys have heard a lot about this past year because Minnetonka was the team with the most D1 players on their team at the same time. Minnetonka was an absolute powerhouse that should have won their section this year and lost in a crazy upset in the finals before going to the state tournament. Number 3 is the very famous Edina, or as the Mighty Ducks movie fans would know as the Cake Eaters. Now, if you don't know that reference, please go watch the Mighty Ducks movies. They're unbelievable movies. Edina High School has been around for a very long time and has always been in the top 10 program. Year after year, they show great amount of success. Since we're on the subject of hockey and how we could help, the link down below will help you set up a consultation with us absolutely free so we can answer all your questions and maybe help you get to the next level. And number 4, we have Andover High School. Andover High School put in a lot of work to get into this top 10, and the past 5 years have been very successful. Number 5, we have 𝗿𝗂𝗏 High School. 𝗿𝗂𝗏 High School is a very strong program in Minnesota as well. This year they have 2 players that were being watched by NHL scouts. Number 6, we have Eden Prairie High School. Number 7, Benilde St. Margaret's. I 100% didn't say that properly, and I apologize in advance, but they're at number 7. Number 8, we have Hill Mary High School. Not surprised by this one. Number 9, Hermantown High School. And last but not least, number 10, Cretin-Durham Hall High School. Again, another one that I cannot pronounce. I probably got too many pucks to the head as a goalie. However, they are number 10 on this list. In the past 5 years, this is the top 10 schools in Minnesota high school hockey. Let's jump into Division I and Division III commits coming out of Minnesota high school hockey. This is based on the past 5 years. There's 100 schools, 25 players per school. That's 2,500 players based on the last 5 years. So that's 12,500 total players. Now, obviously there's some overlap, right? There's some players who've been there for 4 years. So it's the same player over and over again. However, these are just basic calculations, rough estimates for you guys. You also have to take into account that some of these players committed in junior hockey and not straight out of Minnesota high school hockey. So this is a very rough estimate. 2.12% of players went on to play D1 out of Minnesota high school hockey. 1.06% went on to play NCAA Division III hockey. 3.18 total NCAA hockey players. Now, a lot of these players dream of playing in the state tournament. That is something they get tattooed on their body. It is a memory of a lifetime, and they're proud to have played there, and they end their career there. A lot of these players play multiple sports. Minnesota high school season is very different than other states. They play 25 games. They go in October until end of February, and that's their season. So they're playing soccer, they're playing football, they're playing baseball. They are playing other sports that might be their primaries, and they just play hockey for fun with their friends to play in that state tournament. So these numbers are a little skewed because the mentality of hockey in Minnesota is different than others in the sense that you're okay playing high school hockey, you're okay with the success you had in high school, and you're not trying to play college. It might not be your primary sport. It's not like other states where kids are playing hockey 365 days a year since the age of 8, and that's all they ever do. So if the numbers seem low, but we're still super excited about Minnesota hockey, this is why. There's a huge reason behind it. Let's jump into the breakdown of who went where. Now, for NCAA Division 1, in the past 5 years, there's 147 forwards that went NCAA Division 1. There is some unbelievable skilled hockey players here. Not gonna lie to you, the last Minnesota game I watched, there was a 6'4" forward with some of the silkiest hands I had seen in the 2008 age group. Unbelievable hockey player, and he was a unit out there. Not many of those exist. I call him the unicorn. There was also 97 defensemen that have gone D1 out of Minnesota high school hockey. Again, Minnesota is a great high school league. Very skilled, very physical, and for some reason there's something in the water out here because a lot of these boys are very big for their age. They're developed. They're in the gym taking it seriously. They're taking their skill session seriously, and it shows when you watch these games. Lastly, there's been 21 goalies commit Division 1 out of Minnesota high school hockey. At the NCAA D3 level, there has been 81 forwards in the past 5 years, 37 defensemen, and 15 goalies. All of these numbers are in the past 5 years. Now, we didn't run the numbers to see how many of them were drafted in the NHL or gone straight to the NHL. However, what I can tell you from being in the rinks every weekend is that there's many NHL scouts watching varsity hockey games because there is that level of talent coming out of these programs, especially out of the top 10 programs. There's NHL scouts every single game watching them play. There's 3 of them that we know are on the NHL draft list and will come out in the later rounds. They're already signed to USHL next season, and they're already committed on full scholarships for in a couple years. So again, there is some unbelievable hockey players here in Minnesota, and that's why we're hyping it up so much. So to recap, there's been a total of 265 Division 1 hockey players to come out of Minnesota high school hockey in the last 5 years, and 133 Division 3 hockey players. And again, this is on the boys' side. On the women's side, it's probably even bigger than this. A lot of these players could play D1, could play D3, but hockey's not the #1 sport. They play in high school because they're playing with their friends, because it's their secondary sport. That's why the numbers seem so low. A lot of these players don't play full year. A lot of these players only play high school, so that's 20-something games a year. That's not 40, that's not 70, it's not 100 games a year. So the system in Minnesota is very different than other states. However, they still produce unbelievable hockey talent every single year. If you're looking for a great event to watch the high school hockey tournament. At the end of the season, it is unbelievable. It's a sold-out barn. There's scouts of all levels, and it's great hockey to watch. There's a reason these kids put so much pride on making it to that state tournament and trying to win it. Thank you guys so much for watching another video from AHA. If you like this video, click this one or this one. It might be something that interests you. Have a great day.